On August the 21st of 2018, fitness influencer Katie Summers was driving a Toyota Tundra pickup truck through Kennewick, Washington. While at an intersection, she signaled to yield to oncoming traffic before making a left turn in front of a moped ridden by a 31-year-old restaurant worker, Lionel Birueta. Summers crashed into the moped and Birueta suffered critical injuries. The 28-year-old woman stopped a short distance away and paced outside her vehicle. She then got back into the Toyota, made a U-turn, and parked behind a super supplement store near the intersection. Summers didn't call 911 nor offered assistance to Birueta as he lay in the street. The father of one, who was engaged to be married, subsequently succumbed to his injuries. Instead of alerting the authorities or talking to them when they made their way to the scene, Summers opted to call her boyfriend as she was reportedly worried about the state of the truck. The influencer, who'd gained thousands of followers by documented her 100-pound weight loss, also disposed of a garbage bag in a nearby dumpster. It was later retrieved by the police and found to contain empty containers for marijuana products as well as a magazine and a business card with Summers' name on it. The police located and arrested the woman roughly 11 minutes after the collision. CCTV had captured her drinking sake at a sushi restaurant shortly before she drove. However, in spite of evidence that she'd been drunk and high at the time of the crash, her state of mind would not factor into her charges. It took roughly 4 hours for the police to draw a blood sample from Summers, and by then she was slightly below the legal limit. In January of 2022, Summers pleaded guilty to vehicular homicide with disregard to safety and hit and run from a crash with injuries. Much to the disappointment of Birueta's family, she was only sentenced to 26 months in prison. Number 6. Christy Swadling and Joel Price. In June of 2024, an Australian fitness influencer was ridiculed by online users for making a glaring spelling mistake during a marketing video posted on social media. 27-year-old Christy Swadling and a fellow influencer were promoting a sale at activewear store Keep That Pump. The latter held a piece of cardboard upon which she'd written, "We are looking for," while Swadling intended to complete the sentence with a card saying, "A man in finance." However, the influencer wrote the last word as fiancé, which the internet was quick to point out. One user wrote, "Finance isn't a trick word, it's spelt how it sounds. How have you not been cancelled? Honestly." The typo occurred in the aftermath of a recent incident for which Swadling and her fiancé had been criticized as being bad influencers on their followers. The woman posted a video to her Instagram while she was a passenger in a vehicle driven by her fiancé and fellow fitness influencer Joel Price. While driving on a rural road, 38-year-old Price took his hands off the wheel and ear-drummed to the song "Sail" by AWOL Nation while steering the vehicle with his knees. Swadling, who was improperly wearing her seatbelt by holding it below her chest, smiled and recorded him. An empty beer bottle could be spotted in the vehicle's cup holder. It remained unclear if Price's dangerous driving resulted in any charges. Swadling was also accused of misleading her followers with a false image of success by flaunting a lavish lifestyle, when documents leaked online indicated she'd recently filed for bankruptcy. Number 5. Ranoto Karani. Brazilian law enforcement raided the Sao Paulo mansion of 46-year-old fitness guru Ranoto Karani. In December of 2023, the main focus of the federal investigation was a company called Anadrol, accused of purchasing at least 12 tons of chemicals which were then rerouted towards illicit drug manufacturers to be used in the production of crack and cocaine. To cover up the sales, Anadrol provided invoices with the names of various pharmaceutical companies, including British-Swedish giant AstraZeneca, best known for producing a variant of the COVID-19 vaccine. Karani was a business partner to Anadrol, and one of his friends, Fabio Spinola, was accused of receiving the fraudulently purchased chemicals before transferring them to drug traffickers. Spinola was arrested at his home in Paranaya, where federal agents discovered more than $20,000 in cash. The case could be traced back to 2017 when Spinola set up a fake email address in the name of an AstraZeneca employee. The company contacted Sao Paulo prosecutors after they were questioned by the Federal Revenue Service. over cash payments that were not reported. AstraZeneca claimed that it had never authorized the purchase of the invoiced chemicals. A second company, Chloroquimica, reported similar discrepancies. The following year, LBS Labarosa alerted the authorities after its name was fraudulently linked to multiple invoices. The purchases were handled by Anadrol and Quimietist, a company without a physical address which at one point listed Karani's wife as a business partner. Over 60 fraudulent transactions originating from Karani and his accomplices were identified in the multi-ton drug manufacturing operation. In a post to his over 7 million Instagram followers, Karani expressed surprise at the allegations, describing Anadrol as a beautiful company that was fully regulated. Once evidence tied him to the aforementioned dealings, he was charged with drug trafficking, criminal association, and money laundering. The case against him was ongoing as of the spring of 2024. Number 4. Akinwale Oluwafola Jimmy Oluwatope Arobiki. As far back as the 1980s, British man Akinwale Oluwafola Jimmy Oluwatope Arobiki had attracted notoriety as a muscle-obsessed pervert. Arobiki, nicknamed Purple Aki, was known to approach men, typically ranging in ages from their late teens to their early 20s, and touching or measuring their muscles. Another feature of his deranged behavior was asking the respective males to perform squats while he was on their backs in an inverted piggyback. As described in court documents, Arobike ordered them to squat so he could lean over their backs with his face by their buttocks and his genitalia on their necks while squeezing their quad muscles. Through his antics, Arobike reportedly came to be regarded as a modern-day bogeyman. In 1986, Birkenhead teenager Gary Kelly died of electrocution at the New Brighton railway station while allegedly running away from Arobike. The latter, who was at the time in his mid-20s, was convicted of involuntary manslaughter but successfully appealed the decision. Arobike resumed his muscle-groping behavior in the aftermath. In November of 2001, he pleaded not guilty to 50 counts of indecent assault and harassment perpetrated against male teenagers from 1995 to 2000. He was jailed for 30 months after he was convicted of threatening behavior. Following his release, Arobike went back at it, resulting in another arrest and trial. 123 people were interviewed during the legal proceedings, and one family went into witness protection after they were allegedly threatened by Arobike. In December of 2003, the man pleaded guilty to 15 counts of harassment and witness intimidation. He was jailed for 6 years at Preston Crown Court. Dozens of other counts, mostly related to indecent assault, were left on file. Arobike constantly denied that there was a component of arousal to his behavior and was never charged in that regard, but after his 2006 release, he was issued a prevention order which specifically prohibited him from approaching young men and touching their muscles. The Liverpool man breached the order multiple times in the years that followed, with groping incidents stretching from North Wales to Manchester and Leeds, leading to him spending additional months behind bars. In May of 2016, a judge at Manchester Crown Court lifted the muscle touch ban after Arobike, who represented himself, successfully appealed against it. He admitted to breaching the order on repeated occasions but maintained that his antics were neither criminal nor a perversion and merely a long-standing interest in well-built muscles. Arobike vowed to change his ways and was quoted as telling Judge Richard Mansell, "I'm going to try and put my life back to normality. I'm not going to run around touching everybody's muscles because there's no need for that." Mansell gave him an 18-month sentence for the breach offences, suspended for 2 years with a 60-day rehabilitation order, and a warning that if he breached it, he would be jailed. Mansell gave Arobike a clean slate, but in trying to make sense of his criminal past, told him there's something inherently unusual, if not, some might think, unnatural, about the way you have behaved. Number 3. Nathan Snik. In July of 2017, just 3 months after he was crowned Wales's strongest man, Nathan Snik launched an alcohol-fueled attack on his neighbours. Snik and his girlfriend, Wales's strongest woman, Natalie Roberts, met Mark Burnham and his partner, Catherine Stokes, at Roos Social Club in Barry. They drank together and the latter couple were invited to Snik's home to continue the night of socializing. Snik's attitude reportedly changed when they got to the address. He decided to head upstairs to bed, after which Burnham and Stokes went home. The couple went back to the residence to check if everything was all right after they heard shouting, crashing, and banging coming from inside. Snik was enraged upon seeing them return. He pushed Stokes to the side and then threw punches at Burnham. The latter retreated to his home, but the muscle-bound strongman followed him inside. Snik dragged Burnham by the hair, mounted him, and began punching him. Snik also stomped and kicked the man in the head. When Stokes tried to get him off her partner, she was assaulted and thrown into the driveway with such force that her t-shirt was ripped apart. Burnham was left with bruising to his arm, hip, and ribs, in addition to grazing on his leg. Snik surrendered to local law enforcement on July the 5th. The strongman initially claimed he'd acted in self-defense, but on the day his trial was due to commence, pleaded guilty to assault occasioning actual bodily harm and assault by beating. He was sentenced to 10 months on the first charge and 2 months on the second, to be served concurrently. Today's topic was requested by Kenneth Kessler 9608 and As Free as Slaves 1841. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Ramon Espinal and Jose Rodriguez. New York City auxiliary cop Ramon Espinal joined 5 other defendants who were brought in Manhattan Supreme Court in the fall of 2017. The legal proceedings were the culmination of an undercover investigation into the trafficking of drugs and firearms. Espinal was a volunteer officer with the 23rd Precinct and a bodybuilding enthusiast who'd shared videos of himself working out on YouTube, calling himself the Dominican Hulk. On July the 24th of 2017, he'd arranged the sale of a Smith & Wesson pistol with bodybuilder Jose Rodriguez. They subsequently met at the latter's home in the Bronx to complete the transaction. A few weeks later, Rodriguez sold the weapon to an undercover cop for $500, resulted in his and Espinal's arrest. Another defendant, Jimmy Liu, had purchased cocaine from Rodriguez in exchange for selling him steroids. The 6 defendants were reported to have carried out 19 drug sales amounting to $30,000 with an undercover cop. Given his weapon charge, some of Espinal's social media uploads were regarded as ironic in hindsight. During one of his videos, as he was doing bicep curls, he said into the camera, "You want guns? Everybody wants guns, but they don't want to go heavy." There was no definitive information on the outcome of the case as of the latest updates on the matter. Number 1. Denise Rutowski. In the early 1990s, Denise Rutowski became the face of female bodybuilding in the US and beyond. She finished second at the 1993 Miss Olympia contest and won first prizes in both the NPC USA Championships and the IFBB Jan Tanner Classic. She was nicknamed the Golden Panther due to her long blonde hair and acrobatic show routines. She was widely regarded as having model-like good looks, which led to her being featured in dozens of magazine covers and spreads. The woman, who was at the time in her early 30s, was expected to be crowned Miss Olympia in 1994, but then unexpectedly announced that she was retiring from the sport. Rutowski stated that she was a born-again Christian and committed to traveling around the US to speak at various religious events. The former famed bodybuilder intentionally moved away from her career in the sport. She briefly returned to bodybuilding in 2001, but then basically disappeared from public life until her arrest in 2012. The reason for her being taken into custody remained unclear. Roughly 2 decades removed from the height of her fame as the Golden Panther, Rutowski's mugshot showed a drastic transformation in her appearance. Her hair was cut short, she'd grown a wispy beard and matching mustache, and she seemed to be strung out. The woman was reported to have struggled with homelessness, drug addiction, and mental health issues in the years that followed her retirement. Some speculated that prolonged steroid use had played some part in the changes to her appearance. In 2013, she was arrested, again producing a similar mugshot. More arrests would come in the years that followed, mostly for criminal trespassing. In November of 2019, an internet user who ran Rutowski's fan page announced that she was doing better and that she'd resumed working with a ministry in Fort Worth, Texas. However, updates from 2023 indicated that 61-year-old Rutowski was back living on the street. Thanks for watching. Would you rather grow any body part at will or be able to see through walls? Let us know in the comments section below.